All right. Welcome, if there is anybody out there. Sorry, I'm 1 minute late, but let's get moving. So yesterday was the very first stream, I guess I'll call them. Today is the second one. Nobody watched yesterday, but that's not extremely important. Welcome. My community is called No More Paper Trading. Right now it's a community of one. I hope to grow it. Our intent is, we're not here to sell anything. I'll never try to sell memberships, signals, mentorships. That doesn't happen here. If you're looking to buy something like that, this isn't the place. I want to become a profitable trader, and I want everyone else to. All right, let's get started. First off, this is called Premarket Wake Up. My name's Frank. Link to the Discord is in the description. It is now 8:32 Eastern Standard Time. There's no news releases at 8:30 this morning. There are no contract rollovers coming up in the futures that I trade. Let's take a look first at what happened in the overnight for the indices and gold and oil. Right here, as you can see, I'm not sure what just happened at 8:25. Maybe nothing at all. But the overnight seems like pretty much sideways, dancing around what you can see right here, the R1 pivot point, which is this yellow line right here. At the close yesterday, took a giant rise right near the close as price vaulted over previous month's high, which is this purple line right here, and continued to go much further up. I was surprised. I was thinking in the overnight that we would actually go down, back down to previous month's high, but we did not. Other than that, there's not really anything else to look for besides yesterday's high. How was that yesterday's high? That wasn't yesterday's high. It was 2 days ago. That was Friday's high. Excuse me 1 sec. I wrote the wrong number. This was yesterday's high, which makes sense why we're dancing around near it. Price has yet to go over it in the overnight and stay over it. All right, moving on to the NQ. Same picture. I'm pretty sure I got the overnight high right here. Yes, I did. Not as strong in the close yesterday as ES was, but still gained quite a bit at the close. As you can see, we're coming back down again towards the overnight low. But just kind of bouncing between previous day close and previous day's high. which are these blue lines here. Moving on to the Russell. Otherwise known as M2K, RTY. RTY is the mini, M2K is the micro. I trade only micros because I'm a beginner. Not much going on the overnight. Just again, I'm surprised we remained stable up at these high prices. I would have figured we'd come back down to test R2 in the overnight, which is this pivot point right here. Maybe we will now, as something happened. Maybe I'll look into that after I look at overnight movements. Again, rejection of previous day close. As you can see, price did linger here for a bit, but eventually started moving down. Now in the Dow, YM, MYM, Dow Jones Industrial. Into yesterday, another large move. The Dow definitely was bouncing between yesterday's close and yesterday's high almost all through the night. We are just now starting to pierce yesterday's close. All right, moving on to gold. So yesterday, gold did climb a bit. As you can see in the overnight, this is why I really like using previous day high, previous day low, previous day close. I basically for the last year I tested a lot of different key levels, and I always come back to well, here's the list I use: previous day high, previous day low, previous day close, previous month's high, previous month's low, previous month's close, and then the current month high and the current month low. I don't know if that's standard for other people to use. That's just what I do. But time and time again, you will see price respect these levels, as it did in the overnight with gold. You saw clear rejection. That would have been a great trade to short it right there. Might not have been blatantly obvious. And as of now, we're coming up again to test yesterday's close. This green line right here, that is yesterday's opening range high. When I say yesterday, I mean from 9:30, which is not the futures open. That's just NYSE open. But I set my opening range for 10 a.m. Basically the highest price that price goes by 10 a.m. I also noticed that level seems to, price respects that level as well. All right, let's move the oil. Oil in the overnight. I forget what oil did yesterday. So oil dropped yesterday quite heavily. Let's look at the daily for oil, for what happened yesterday. You can see it? Yeah. Okay. See a heightened volume here. And this indicator right here I like to use. It splits up the buyers and sellers, and then you have this little line in between that is weighed. And as you can see, we were weighed heavily in sellers yesterday. But we did stop in the overnight. Yesterday I drew two channels where I think oil was respecting these channels. I erased them, I don't know why, but I'll draw them again. Here was one, and the other's a bit rough. So a couple weeks ago, price was staying in this channel, and it was only, I think that was last Thursday, it broke out. Now it's coming back to visit the top of the channel. Also, I have an indicator. It's a great indicator in TradingView. It automatically marks support and resistance zone, which is what this red area is right here. So as you can see, we stopped right in this area. I don't know if you can see it. Right here. And here it is on the 5-minute chart, which as of now, it seems that price bounced off of it and is heading up towards yesterday's opening range low. As I said yesterday, it seems like gold and oil don't respect key levels as much as the indices do. Much more volatile. So be cautious of that in these levels that I'm pointing out. Usually need a wider stop and longer term trade. It's not my favorite contracts to scalp, but I do scalp them every now and again. Alright, let's take a look now at the latest news. I want to try and figure out if anything happened at 8:25. What's causing this? It is happening in almost all the indices, right? It's not as... I bet it was earnings, company earnings. Let's take a look. I did not yet add these pages to OBS. If you don't know, OBS is what I'm using to stream. It's software. I only have my 2 trading windows hooked up right now. I do plan to add the news calendar so that others can see it. You know what, I can do it right now maybe. One sec. Bear with me. Alright, it's now 8:46. Let's take a look. I'm going to show you the news flow that TradingView has. I don't usually use this one. I use FX Street, but I don't have that set up yet. To me, it doesn't seem like anything really. Abercrombie and Fitch, I really don't think that would tank the market like that. Trade deficit with Mexico, maybe? I don't know. Could just be some big traders getting to their screens and taking profits. There isn't always an explanation for every market move. As much as the news agencies try to give an explanation, they almost are always wrong. Let's see what other earnings there were. You had Kohl's at 7. That might matter a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what caused it. Let me see if there's any headlines. Not really. I think it was just a rejection of previous day's high. Price finally gave up trying to break it. All right, what else is going on in the news lately? Might have heard about some big news for tomorrow. We got PCE tomorrow, GDP for the US. All eyes are on that. I personally don't trade during those events. I watch them to see the reaction, but I don't trade futures during them. But everything is riding on that news for this week anyway, to see if the Fed will cut rates or not. Perhaps that's already decided. Who knows? Today's actually a boring day. No other major news releases for today. You do have NVIDIA earnings tonight. I won't be trading the overnight unless volatility calms down a bit. But I can see it taking a big hit one way or the other. But for today, I think I will trade quite a bit. There's not, the only news is oil stocks change, a 5-year note auction at 1. Nothing major. All right, I'm gonna now take a look at the indices again. And we'll go over any major areas coming up for the open in approximately 40 minutes. It looks like price has already stabilized for now. But coming up, if we open below previous day high, or even if we open above it, I'd say look out for this level, which is previous day high at around 64.8750. I'd be looking for, if we go up higher, I'd be looking for a pullback to that level. And I would probably place my stop below this large resistance area here, which this was formed, let's see if I can see. Yeah, this was formed on Friday, maybe even before then. Oh yeah, Friday and earlier this month. If we head down, what to look for? Same thing can happen. If sellers are in control, I'd look for a pullback to previous day high. Look for confirmation and then enter short. I wouldn't put my profit target at previous month's high. I'd put it a little bit higher. But that would be the next level going down if we start to crash hard, which there's a good chance today. I think we need to bring in more buyers at a better area to go any higher, which makes sense with the overnight. As you could see, we couldn't go above yesterday's high in the overnight, but we remained close. So I think there's a good chance we'll go down today around previous month's high, gather more buyers. That's where I would enter some trades if I'm paying attention. If we fall below that, then we have yesterday's close at 64.55 and yesterday's low right near it. So anywhere in this general area, as well as yesterday's opening range high and yesterday's open. When I talk about the open, I'm mostly always talking about the regular session open at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, not the futures open at 6 p.m. And that's usually how I always have it marked on my charts. All right, NASDAQ. Huh. Previous day high. Wait a minute, do I have more stuff not marked correctly? Dang it. Yeah, I forgot to change. I'm sorry. Major mistake. That is the one downside to keeping all your own lines rather than having an indicator that automatically does them. Give me one sec while I change them. Alright. Thought something looked strange. I had done all the other indices except for the ES this morning. Every morning I go through and I change them. It also helps me to take notice of things. If I had an indicator that did all that on its own, I wouldn't take notice of major changes. It's just human nature. Make things too easy, start being lazy. Alright, M and Q. Well, let's do another review of ES since I did not take notice. So we might actually, either one of these, previous day high or previous day close, can be very important. As you can see, they were in the overnight. If you go lower, yeah, look for a bounce off of previous day close or previous day high. Or even, I forget which one that is, R2, R1. That's a pivot point. This whole area. Look for increase in sellers. I often use RSI and a mixture of other things, including just watching the volatility of the price action. You only need to be right more than you're wrong. Alright, and Q. Same theme here. I think most traders are just waiting for tomorrow and Friday for the news release. You might end up with a pretty boring day. Oh, and people are waiting for Nvidia tonight. So you might not see any major price swings like you saw last Friday. Even yesterday was a pretty good price swing towards the end of the day. I used to not trade after 3 p.m. because you used to see this type of activity every day around 3 p.m. Whether it was the trading machines kicking in or everyone putting in their final orders for the day, volatility usually increases. But I do have to say this type of thing, like yesterday, that seems to have been rare lately. I have actually started to make some trades later in the day. Maybe not a good idea. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for today, major areas to look out for is, again, previous day close, previous day high. We do not have a major pivot area, but it does seem like price is having a hard time. Let's take a look at the daily for the NQ. Price is having a hard time getting above this area over the last few days. So if you're a scalper or swing trader, this would be a good area for a stop above here. So basically anywhere above 23,640, 630. In this general area. But there's a good chance we will pivot off this area to head down further towards, this is previous month's close and yesterday's low. As you can see, yesterday's low hit July's close almost right on. That would have been an excellent trade yesterday. Let's take a look at that, see when that happened. Why not? So that actually happened in the overnight. Yeah, that happened at 8 on Sunday night. I usually watch the markets around that. I don't know what I was doing. I usually, at night, I usually just watch DES. Maybe I should watch the NASDAQ. It was a hard trade because price didn't actually hit previous month's close. So it would have been hard to see. Sorry about that. I should put my phone on mute. Alright. I think that covers NASDAQ. If we break through, I don't know. I don't see it today. I don't see us breaking through here. If we do, it probably won't be for long. I often am wrong, so who knows. But you can look for a pullback to this area if we do break above with strength. I wouldn't trade that, but that's just me. Alright, let's look at the Russell. Again, with the Russell, same outlook. We have this area of resistance over the last few days. You can see it here too on the daily. It's not all-time high, but it's monthly high. For the Russell anyway. I don't think gonna break out. I'd say look for price hitting anywhere in this area and stopping to go lower. Again, you got yesterday's close, yesterday's high in this large area here. Current month high. It's a lot to get through. I think it'll take good news tomorrow or Friday to put us above that. But another good trade could happen where in any of the indices this morning or at all throughout today, if we see price drop quickly to test, for the Russell would be yesterday's low. All the way down here. And as we see, it's kind of a pattern. Maybe not. You see these long wicks that go down and test often. Let's take a look. You can see it happened often last week. You have these long wicks down the test. And it always seems like buyers recover. So maybe that's what I'll look for today in any of the indices. A quick drop down the test and look for where price stops and buy up. Alright, finally, it's going to be the same story with the industrials. A little bit different. But we still have yesterday's close and high, keeping us from going higher right here. So again, likely to break down the previous month's high here. There's a good chance price will stop there. If it doesn't, well, I wouldn't trade that anyway. If we start running lower, one time framing lower, I'm not going near that. It's just personal. I like safe trades. Define safe trade. I can't. Alright, on the gold. Alright, let's see. Let's look at the 5-minute. It seems like right now we're coming up to test yesterday's close again. For the close, what I use, I don't use 5 p.m. as the close for futures. I use the settlement price, which TradingView allows you to pick that in their options for futures. But I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what will happen here. But if we go higher, looks like price for gold is respecting these key levels here of previous day close and previous day high. If we go higher, then we have a R1 pivot point right here at 34.50, 34.65. If we end up going down, we have a huge area of resistance. You can see it in this indicator I have that shows the areas shaded here. But also, if you look at the daily, you can see where they come from. That's generally in this area here, which was the high of multiple days, roughly. So I wouldn't trade anything in there until we were through here. Alright, let's move on to oil. Oh, maybe I'll short that right now. I can't. Yeah, why not? Yeah, I'm gonna short that. Yeah, just 2 micros. Why not? Why is the order rejected? That doesn't make sense. What the heck's going on? Give me 1 sec. It's not sending the order through. Now all of a sudden it does. Man. All right. So I'm going to attempt a quick scalp here. Let's take a look at what I did. I'm not yet deciding on my stops, but I just did 2 micros right around here. Yeah, I think I'll keep my stop right around there. This area of resistance is in the way a bit. An issue I have is not letting it follow through. As soon as I get, halfway, I often close. We'll see. All right, let's move on to oil. All right, for oil, again, you saw, if you remember this channel I drew right here. In the overnight, price rejected that channel. Spent some time down there. Couldn't find more sellers to go lower. I'd say for now, look for price to come down here again to find buyers. If we push through it, then you're looking at previous month's low down here at 62.40, 41. If we go higher, there's some resistance areas in here. And then you have yesterday's high up at 64.87-ish. All right, that's about it for today. Oh, I never looked at the VIX. Don't know how I forgot that. Hold on. This is why I'm doing this, so I don't forget. So here I have the overnight VIX, which starts at 3 a.m. Pretty flat. But now as we get to the open, it's starting to trend upwards a little bit. Nothing major. The dollar. This is something I'd like to learn more about, is the relationship of the dollar and the indices. I know sometimes they're correlated, sometimes they're non-correlated to different degrees. But right now you have the dollar went up pretty highly overnight. This is a 5-minute dollar chart right here. But as we get to the open, it's starting to go down again. really see anything of note. But I'm not yet really good with figuring all this out for the dollar and the VIX. Sometimes things are obvious, blatantly obvious, but that's rare. So I always check it every now and again. Alright, so that's it for today. Coming up on 9:18 a.m. Good luck. Good luck trading if anyone is watching. Pretty boring day. For next time I'm going to work on more things to talk about, more things to show. 85% of trading is boring, but that's what I like about it. All right, have a good day.